good, everybody? Back again from the Ashes We Rise, Black Phoenix podcast, MC and TR, kicking it with y'all again. TR was good.
Yo, 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 we got the Eagles going to the Super Bowl. This is I try to tell you, MC, the Eagles were playoff bound, Super Bowl bound, and then they definitely got there. So I think you're going to be an Eagles fan leading up to the Super Bowl because I know you don't want Mahomes to win.
Hey, Jalen Hurts, I root for Jalen Hurts for obvious reasons. My fraternity brother. And B, here's what you got to pay attention to. The narrative is Kansas City could be the first team to win a three-peat, and they all pushing that out in the news. So we'll see how it goes, man. I'm curious to see how Vegas does with the spread on this one. I'm going to pay attention to that spread for sure.
Yeah, I don't want to say spread was at one point though, but it's gonna be a very interesting Super Bowl, and it's a revenge Super Bowl for the Eagles, and they've got to take out Mahomes because we do not want to see another Mahomes and Taylor Swift type Super Bowl. So I'm done with that. So the rest of the country should be rooting for them.
I think if Saquon gets 100 plus yards,
Yep.
and Hurts has less than one turnover, that's fumbles and interceptions, they're going to win.
Yeah,
That's
I
my
agree.
prediction.
I agree. So as long as Andy Reid doesn't try to scheme up some crazy plays, they should be taking that Super Bowl easy. So let's hope.
Hey, before we start, let me do an order of house cleaning real quick because most of the people that listen to us are men. As such, I would expect you to conduct yourselves like men, right? We don't have any problems with people that disagree with us. As you can see, we often respond and try to conversate with some of y'all ninjas, but it gets weird when y'all start getting emotional and start using sign language. It's like nobody has time for that. Look, if you're going to imply that your boy is holding a certain position because he don't get no women, well, first of all, I don't because I'm married and I've been married for 16 years. But you didn't know me in my younger life. That's number one.
Yeah.
Stop making assumptions about folks. Just make your points, man, and substantiate it with something. Every time we talk about something on here, we try to substantiate it with an article or a study or something that was done. You should be doing the same. You can't just be shooting off the hip, just saying stuff.
Yep. And here's how I feel about it too.
Shut your bitch ass up.
I mean, there's that too. For sure.
Yep. All right, let's start it up.
The reason that it is said that black men does not protect black women is because
Maybe Harris.
some black men, not all. So if you do not fall within the some category, just shut the fuck up. All right. Because I'm surrounded, the men in my family, so I'm surrounded by men, real men, that don't play about me, that don't play that shit, and that don't play about the women in their family. So heavy on the some black men. Some black men get off on a black woman looking around for protection when she's being disrespected or threatened. So if you are in a public setting, and we all know, like, men from other cultures and other races, they feel quite comfortable, openly comfortable, because they know if they disrespect a black woman, it's not always going to be a man that's going to come to their defense that they got an answer to. And so let's say you out and about and you get into some type of discourse with somebody from another culture. He starts disrespecting you, and then he starts getting comfortable enough
to like
threaten you with physical violence and shit like that. There are some black men that will sit and watch that and will look forward to that black woman looking to them for protection, just to deny them the protection because they feel like that protection is to be earned. You niggas is scary. Y'all scary and you're coons. If you feel like a black woman has to earn your protection, she has to be deemed worthy of your protection. She has to be deemed worthy of you speaking up for her in the sense of somebody's being disrespectful or violent or whatever the case is. There are some black men, and this started way back when.
All right, I want to stop it right there. Let's pause for a little bit.
Yeah.
Go ahead, MC, if you want to kick us off.
I find it odd that and women will do this. They'll say something that's like a passive aggressive jab at men, and then say if this don't affect you, hit dog don't holler and all this other stuff. But you threw all men under the bus. That's number one.
Mm-hmm.
Number
She
two,
did say some men, but we knew what she was talking about.
yeah, she said some, but if you read between the lines, and first of all, I want to understand from her what does protection look like, because what I took away from that video is if you don't crash out for me when I'm in trouble, even though you don't know me, you're
Mm-hmm.
a coon and you're a sellout and you're soft. Here's the thing about that though, and I've told this story before on this podcast. I used to break up domestic violence fights. The last time I tried to do that was when I was a sophomore in college. And you know what happened? They turned around and they jumped me. Both the
Yeah.
man and the woman turned around and jumped me as I was walking to my car from class. And then there's multiple stories of men who have either been killed or brutally beaten for trying to intervene in a DV situation that they didn't properly assess and know what was going on.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know about the rest of you fellas out there. I have a wife and a daughter that I have to get home to. And my wife is constantly telling me when I step out, get back home safe to me. I need to make sure that you're safe and you're okay. And I get that. I need to be here for my family. So you asking me to crash out for you and I don't even know you, that's dangerous too. I have to look. Here's what I'm obligated to do. I'm going to walk up and say, look, I called the police. Y'all should chill out and go on about y'all business. But I'm not about to crash out for somebody I don't even know. I don't care what color they are. That's not smart at all.
Yeah. Yeah. I think for the men that see here, let me show something to the crowd real quick why this is such an issue. So so I got a bunch of add-ons on my browser. This tells me this has been seen 14,000 times, and then also there's the level of engagement. So moderate engagement, but when we scroll down, we start looking at what some of the conversations that people are having, and that's why Black men are not respected across the globe. Never felt protected. I have never been felt protected by anyone. Everyone has failed me, so I just fend for myself. Painful truth, facts. Look, I get it. Some of y'all won't ever be protected, and that's just the way it is. Go get a dog. Go get 2A. Like go do something so you can so you can feel protected. That we're at that time in the 2025 is that a lot of men, if they intervene and it goes south, they're going to lose their life. They're going to end up in jail, maybe themselves. We're also seeing that if a man doesn't do anything, he's going to get shamed no matter what. It's only men that get shamed like this. And then all Black men are expected to like pretty much throw away their life for like a random stranger. I promise you, if something goes down where if it's like a white woman and a Black man doesn't do anything, probably won't catch that much smoke. But if a Black woman does something, like this is crazy. Would she expect her son to do something like this? Would she expect her nephew to step in there and lose his life over a nonsense argument? Like a lot of times for women that want to feel protected, I see y'all be going after men all the damn time. Like most men are bigger than women, but they still try to fight them. We're not talking about like women that are like 6'1" or as tall as me or tall as you. We're talking about women that are like 5'4", thinking that they have a fight. And most of the time, even if the guy is like a little bit shorter than them, that guy's still going to knock their head off. So men, if you want to crash out, go ahead. Just remember, ain't nobody gonna remember you except for your family, and that's and who knows how long that'll be, because you want to cape and try to fight for a lot of these for people that are out of pocket. And we got a video we're gonna watch that kind of explains like what are you supposed to do in this situation. But for most men, you can't be getting in fights with stuff like this. Call the cops. Call like, hey, security, blow the whistle. I don't know what you got to do, but I ain't gonna be the one crashing out for some random people getting themselves in trouble.
Yeah, so you said 2A. 2A is my domain. I just dropped an article. The fastest growing segment of gun owners in the United States are Black women. So to that, I say kudos. You have Second Amendment rights just like every other person walking around.
Yep.
Now that being said, I have a concealed carry permit. I practice at the gun range constantly, and I carry my pistol with me at times. You know what that means though? That means I have an extra obligation to be calm, clear, and level minded when I'm out here walking around in the world because I know that if something escalates,
Hmm.
I need to do everything possible to de escalate it because I know what the worst case scenario is.
Yeah.
And another thing, women, this protection thing, she said, first of all, it is earned. My wife gets every bit of protection that comes from me because she earned it. She's proven herself to be a person of high character, a great wife, and a great
Yes.
mother, and a great life partner. So I will crash out if my wife's life is in danger. As a matter of fact, I've protected her in ways she don't even know about yet because I don't want to freak her out about it.
Hmm.
But I don't know this lady. She kind of presented. I don't want to say she's masculine, but I'm saying she kind of
Oh,
presented
she's
it that way
definitely
in this
masculine.
video.
And the men around her, real quick, the men around her.
I was about to get to that. I was going to say,
Yep.
what are these men putting in her head? Because she kept saying she knows what a real man is, but she didn't define it. She just said they don't play when it comes to her. If the
Hmm.
only thing you're defining is us not playing when it comes to you, that means you view us as expendable. You're the type of leader that'll send somebody to war for a stupid reason and not even worry about the consequences of said war.
Yep. Trained pit bulls. That's essentially that's what it comes down to. A lot of men, and this happens a lot in the black community. A lot of men are expected just to crash out and just throw their lives away. And people don't real people maybe people realize this, but the cemeteries and prisons are filled with a bunch of men that thought they were doing the right thing, end up crashing out. They're either dead or they end up, behind bars. So you can definitely kind of crash out though, but the part that like blows my mind is that 2025, a lot of women have said they're strong and independent. They don't need a man, or if a man tries to step in and try to save them, they get shamed for it. We've seen it happen a couple times on live TV. Like, I don't need your help. Don't call me dear. Like, stuff like that is where we get to a situation where men have just stepped out. And we've talked about this when men leave, or when the men stop caring or stop protecting women in general. The men, I mean, that's where society is definitely going to fall. And so you got people in the comments, and this is the other thing too, with this being a TikTok video, if a man has something that's equal to this, talking about how women don't deserve protection, or women deserve XYZ, that video is getting pulled. That person's getting labeled as hate speech. Every negative thing that they can throw at that person, they're going to try to get them demonetized or whatnot. So this is the game, men. This is what this woman is expecting you to do. And then it's clear that there's other women that feel like they need protection. I'm like, you know how to do this. Like, your femininity is your weapon. So you know how to protect yourself, or at least you know how to. I mean, if you look at it from like a nature or biological thing, wouldn't it make sense to be with the guy that can protect you? But all we see is a bunch of women that are always single, or they don't have these strong relationships. So if you know this is a problem, why aren't you working towards bringing that type of person into your home, or pairing up with that person, as well as at least with the kid's father? You know that if something does go down, your kid's father, your husband or whatever, is definitely going to be there to protect you guys. But you guys, a lot of them are just kicking guys out. Hey, I'll get a new one. I can get a new one. Well, you can't get a new one to protect you, or give up his life to protect you or your kid.
Yeah, and here's another thing. A lot of women associate manhood with how tough somebody is, right?
Right.
If you are anywhere close, so I'm in my early 40s. If you're anywhere close to me in age and you can't de escalate a problem without getting into a fight with somebody, you're a beta.
Yeah.
Like, betas, look, a lot of people think betas are these weak and meek people, and they can be betas too. But betas can also be somebody who's willing to escalate it to level 10 over something that's small and petty and can be fixed with words.
Yeah. Death by
A beta will shoot or excuse me, I won't be on YouTube. A beta will
me.
air out the entire club because somebody stepped on his shoes, or
Oh
he
yeah.
assumes that somebody bumped into him and didn't say excuse me. Like I said, I own a gun and I carry it often. So I have a responsibility to make sure that I try to de escalate it in every non-violent way before I go to that resort. And
Hmm.
that's what she doesn't get. A lot of women view us as being expendable, and that's not what manhood is. As a matter of fact, protecting women is often making an unpopular decision. I told y'all about the story where my wife was going grocery shopping on Friday nights, and I had to shut that down because a situation happened that threatened her safety.
Right.
Either you take me grocery shopping with you, or you go during the day, or you do pickups or whatever else. But this can't happen again because I'm responsible for your safety. I'm telling you, the biggest thing with safety is preventing yourself from being in a stupid situation in the first place.
Facts.
And that's what people don't understand. So even
Well,
if you
men,
if
men
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 need to
have to be
understand that
comfortable.
too.
Yeah, men
Men
have to
need
be
to understand
comfortable
that
telling
too.
their women, you cannot go here. This is the reasons why you can't go here. Matter of fact, maybe you don't have to give any reasons. Just tell her
But
you
they
cannot
just going
go.
to tell you that you being controlling. They don't
Yeah.
understand the why about it.
Yep.
And here's let me this kind of ties to something I said last week. I said whenever I meet a woman, the first question I ask myself is whose protection is she under? Even if I'm not trying to date her, it could just be a work relationship. It's still important, and I'll tell you why. If she doesn't have a healthy, functional relationship with any man, what makes you think that you're going to be the first person to do business with her or any type of relationship y'all get into, and you're going to be the one where it's going to be healthy and functional? I
Yeah.
mean, stuff like this matters.
Yeah. And then here's his last point on this one. When it comes to like the relationships between men and women, I feel like it's more strained more so than ever. And so in the black community, there's a lot of things are going to have to change before there's this community protection, which maybe it used to exist, maybe back in the 70s or 80s or something, but it definitely not there today. And so you're gonna have to get rid of that Me Too BS. You're gonna have to like stop trashing your baby daddy openly on the internet. You're gonna have to stop trashing men in general openly on the internet, and then you're gonna have to advocate for some changes in the courts because weaponizing your custody against the kid's father, that's not helping anybody. And so that's why a lot of protection has definitely changed. Why a lot of men have just said like, no, I'm not going to just start protecting people just in general. Or if I do try to help someone, I mean, it kind of reminds me of the gym workouts where a guy, he just happened to look at an attractive woman and then she tried to get him canceled. So women, you start checking your own backyard before you start coming at men. And the men does not owe you protection. And men, you don't need to crash out. You don't need to give up your life. Your life is worth way more than whatever BS they have going on.
If she's dating a young man right now, by the way, that makes him look bad. That video that she just put out makes him look bad
That's a very good point. Yep.
because she basically just and I'm assuming, I don't know if she is or if she isn't, but I'm saying if she is, you basically just told the whole world that he sucks at protecting you and you don't feel safe. So he didn't do his job.
Exactly.
One more thing about this: who is protecting you? And I recognize there's a lot of women out here who don't have those protections. And this is when I tell men, don't just discount them or push them out the way. You have to do a deeper dive and assess why she doesn't have those protections.
Yeah.
Was it because of bad decisions that she made? Was the dude trash? Did her mama push her daddy away? There's multiple layers of protection for women that, and I don't know, maybe she ignored it. That's another possibility too. You have to consider all of these things and make the right decision for you.
Yeah, sometimes, and just like with kids, you kind of have to let them hit their head. For most men, you kind of have to let them hit their heads too. So for a lot of women, and men have done such a great job protecting women from, or I mean, stopping from society collapsing for starters, and then also protecting women when they don't realize they've been given protection. They've done such a good job is that when you don't, start acknowledging them or you start giving them, a little more leeway, they start thinking like, well, nobody's protecting me. Like, I don't know what to tell you, but no random dude is responsible for your protection. So you can call me whatever. And that's the other thing too. I know we said we was going to wrap this up though. Because you don't protect a woman, your race is being stripped. Let's just talk about that real quick. Because you don't protect a black woman, she is stripping your race from you. Like, man,
This is a tricky conversation because we are responsible for protection at the end of the day, but it has to make sense who we're protecting. You can't protect someone who doesn't want to listen to you on what that
yeah.
protection looks
But
like.
I'm saying for her though, she's just saying random black men do
Yeah.
not she's stripping their she's calling them, coon and everything. Like she's saying random black men. She's not talking about like men that are like connected to her in some way. She's saying random. Like, man, I can't get along with that. That's just asinine and that ain't right. Like there's a lot of things that goes on in this world And that's why they're not getting the protection, and that's why they'll never get the protection back. Like it's not going to trend in a way that where they will get protection. It's trending away from that. Just, hey, call the police, keep it moving.
One more thing before we close this out. For the women who are protected and who do have that protection, don't abuse it. I'm familiar with the young lady who she slaps her boyfriend in front of her family because she has a lot of male cousins that will crash out for her, and she quote unquote knows that he won't do anything about it for
Yeah.
that particular reason. She's abusing her protection. Now, one of her relatives told her, if he ever hits you back, I'm not doing anything because I saw how you've hit him, slapped him, spit on him, disrespected him in front of everybody. And I know if he hits you back, it was probably something that you did.
Right.
So if you do have those protections, don't abuse it, don't misuse it. He loves you if he's protecting you.
Honestly, though, I think most women are going to abuse it. I think it's natural for them to abuse it, but it's when they don't recognize that, hey, I could have got somebody killed or deleted. I could have got somebody hurt. Like, I think women know that they have that ability, but they just don't care, honestly. Next topic.
Get out of my face.
This woman faced instant karma after starting a fight in a fit of road rage.
Let's go! Get out of the car! You want to run the... Get out of the car there! Get out! Get out! I didn't touch your car. You were
Hey, fellas, you gonna protect her? She deserve your protection?
on my gun. Come and touch me because my man's right there. Come and put your hands on me. I ain't driving crazy. Your was on my goddamn... I went to the other lane. Get out of my face. Okay.
Hey, there was a woman in the car. Sheesh.
As if it weren't already bad enough, she's about to get reprimanded by a man for her bizarre actions.
That was a long walk.
Stop jumping on cars and feet. Get in the car. Stop jumping on cars.
Wait, is that her boyfriend?
B, why are you jumping on the car? Get in the car.
Look at her lying.
Get off. Come on, get off.
Wow.
It is unclear what sparked the brutal interaction, and if anyone suffered injuries as a result. But this is no way to act.
I couldn't tell. Was that her boyfriend? Hey, you mute.
She said her guy was in the car while they
Yeah.
were arguing.
That's what I
That
thought.
kind of threw me off. But this is another example of, look, we know that if this was the other, if a man puts his hands on a woman, it's wrong, completely wrong. But here's the thing, though. Most men, if they're getting punched or slapped, their natural instinct is to respond with
Yeah.
the same energy they were just given. So it's harder for me to. I think you lose, and this is where people say there's advantages to being a woman. I don't care what you say. There are advantages to being a woman because generally speaking, we know you're supposed to be protected. We
Mhm.
know we can't deal with you the same way as we do men. But when you step outside of your protections, this is the kind of thing that happens.
Yeah.
And the guy, I don't know if he saw the whole thing or not, but he did what most guys would do. What did you do? Why did you
Yeah.
run up on him like that?
Yeah.
No,
And
she stepped out of her femininity, and that's what happened when she did
that's
it.
what femininity? If anything, it was masculinity. And she tried to check his girl. So according to our last person, she said, if you don't protect your, well, I guess her in that case, then you're not a man, or at least with this guy's white. So I don't know, maybe she's going to trip his whiteness. But anyways, she said, if you don't protect him, then you're not a man. And what does he do? He gets out the car. Now, he wasn't getting in her face, or he was just walking over trying to, I assume he was trying to de-escalate. but he was walking away and she punched him, and she's telling him, "Don't get in my face." So she's already threatening him with another guy, another crash out dummy, and then she just hits him while he's walking away. Those are some cowardice things. No man can get away with that. Like, not even close. Now, there was no police report that was filed, and the police did review it, but they said nobody's filed a report. So I think it's crazy that this
I wonder why there was no report filed, because he could have made the case that he was assaulted and he just defended himself.
Yeah, but unfortunately in society, men are not allowed to defend themselves against women. But I think with this woman, though, she definitely...
That's the court of public opinion, though. He has it on video that she struck him and ran up on him. Yeah. So, look, man, this lady...
I'm not saying he's in the wrong, too. I mean, that guy should get a medal, honestly. Like, that chick was 100% in the wrong, and it's a great video to show to people how you do not try to mess with men. I think that woman probably weighed more than that guy, and he just scooped her up like she was just like a pillow. Like, she found out the hard way. Her back probably still hurts.
Hey, let me screen share real quick. I'm going to share something, and I'm assuming since it's on YouTube, it won't get us a YouTube strike. So it's from the Daily Mail. Let me. This is the opposite situation. Let's just call it that. I'm going to share something real quick. Here's a different example, but on this example, this is what happens when masculinity is not present when it should have been.
Move on now to a wild brawl at an NFL preseason game in Pittsburgh, but it wasn't with the guys on the field. It actually happened in the stands after a woman slapped a man in the face. And just take a look, but a warning for you, this is pretty hard to watch.
You these simp enforcers. Now you can have your glasses on. Just beat that dude ass.
This situation, you have a lady who's arguing with the dude. Look, and I'm very firm on this. My wife will tell you, I tell her all the time, do not argue with men. If you have a problem with the man, it's not your problem anymore. It's my problem.
Now, these women are out of pocket.
You have this woman here who's sitting here arguing with this dude. The boyfriend is just sitting there, just watching and observing, totally lack of masculinity. He should have been trying to de-escalate that. Either telling his lady to calm down or be like,
got his chicken under control.
Yeah, like, look, bro, you're gonna have to direct that energy towards me. So let's talk, let's figure this out. Like, we're gonna talk about it or we're gonna do something, but we gotta figure this out.
Yeah.
Now notice when she slapped him, he showed restraint the first time. It wasn't until she slapped him again that he started to go. First he fired on the boyfriend.
Yeah.
Then he fired on the lady. So he was showing restraint. So even he knew in the back of his head, this lady is getting out of pocket, but she's still a lady, and I have to treat her that way. But that second slap, he was just like, you know what? She threw it out the window.
Yeah.
So here's an example where the masculinity, a guy was there, but he wasn't being a man, and now him and his girl got messed up for it.
Yeah. And I'll tell you this though, fellas, if you got a scrap, I get it. Sometimes that stuff happens. You might live in Philly. It just happens. I get it. But you should have took those glasses off a long time ago. And if you're a dreadhead dude, man,
I don't think
y'all asking for trouble.
Though. He kept telling her, stay out of my face, stay out of my face. I think he kept her more because he didn't want to fight.
No. At that point, though, like, look, and that's the other thing too, men, you got to do a better job of like, hey, there's a 50% chance it's going to turn into a fight, and a 75% chance it will be a fight with another guy. So either you walk away, you sit down, or go get a Coke and a smile or something. But there's a good chance that's going to turn into a fight. So you should have had them glasses off. And then as soon as that dude got his happy ass up, he should have knocked him out, like straight up. Like, and I'm not advocating for, I better strike that. Not advocating for violence as a family show, but I'm just saying he should have been very ready, because in any fight, and I feel like most men know this, but any fight, you got to know some simp enforcer is going to show up. He doesn't know what's going down. He doesn't know how it started. In most cases, they're not asking questions. They just see like a damsel in distress. Like, as soon as she struck him, she oh my God, white women tears. Like, she played all the cards. And that's how a lot of these men crash out. They see some woman crying. They see some woman, like, oh, he's trying to hurt me, the angry guy, and this happens to you. No, it doesn't matter if you're black or white. This a lot of times, which is weird. I only say it happened to black and white men. I never say it happened to Asian men or Indian men, or maybe it happens to Mexicans. I don't know. But the point is, for a lot of men, you got to be ready for that stuff to go down, or you just got to de-escalate it really quick. Like if you don't want to like mess up your J's, you don't want to mess up your shirt or whatever, then don't get in a fight. Just walk away. There's plenty of times where I was like, man, this is going to probably turn into a fight, and I don't feel like doing paperwork today. Just walk away. That's what I did. Just walk away. Plus, you don't want to get banned from the stadium too.
I'm still looking at that beta boyfriend of hers. That was, and the reason why I know that's her boyfriend is because if you watch the entire news article, they talk about it later. We just didn't want to play the whole clip. He handled that wrong. He could have avoided all of this.
Yeah.
The proper thing to do, he should have stood up. I would have told, look, if that was me, I'd have told my wife, stand behind me, please. I need to handle this. She stands behind me. I'm talking with dude now. I'm like, look, bro, let's figure this out because you're not going to keep talking to her like this. Now, bring that smoke to me. And either we gonna talk it out like men, or I keep a pair of boxing gloves in my car. I haven't had to use them in a long time, but I do box on occasion, and I'm not afraid to. And as I said earlier, me being a concealed carry person, I have to be very mindful of de-escalation tactics. So let's talk it out. Hopefully, you can talk it out.
Yeah.
If it come down to that, I got some gloves here. Take a pair. I got a pair. Let's go.
Yeah, just looking at the comments here, equal wives, equal fights. That's always a fun one. She learned a valuable lesson that day. I bet she did. I bet she
I don't think
I go to a doctor.
I don't think she learned anything.
Well, I mean, we do keep seeing stories of women just keep challenging men. And for the amount of men that know that, hey, this woman is she caused the fight or some type of cap stuff probably happened, but they still crash out. It says, as a woman, I applaud that man who gave it back. Never tolerate bullying and needless violence. That woman was clearly has gotten away with aggressive behavior in the past. Yeah, not anymore. Said her man was in the car, but he did not come to rescue her. She's probably sick and tired of her mouth too. I don't think her man was in the car. I think she was just saying that because she was probably trying to scare him or something. But either way, don't play stupid games like that either. Don't be saying your man is right around the corner and he ain't. You're gonna get him deleted. And then you gotta tell, if you guys got kids, hey, mommy was running off at the mouth and got your dad deleted, but I'm gonna get you a new one who probably will crash out. Man, they will move on. And this is the other thing too. They will move on to the next guy to get their cheeks clapped by the next guy while you serving a bid or you in the ground 6 feet under. Like, that's the crazy thing. They will move on to the next guy within a few months. Like, there was a story of and these are like younger people that did this happen to, but the dude crashed out over some guy liking his chick's pictures, and he saw that he was close. He went over and he got, and that was into him. But then his dude, the dude that shot him, the dude that deleted the guy that was talking about his girl, he ended up going to prison, and then his girl is getting her cheeks clapped by another guy. I know this because she's telling the world that she got a new guy clapping her cheeks. So, men, you got to do better, and also you got to teach your sons better, because the media will tell you that a guy is responsible for crashing out. Like, if you're, son, you're expected to crash out over your mom no matter what. And I understand there are some situations that go on, but everybody knows that, hey, mom, you're going to have to stand down, and you got to have the courage to tell your parents, or not tell your parents, but tell your mom, especially if there's not that guy there. If you can, tell her to stand down, just like you would with your sister, like you would with your girlfriend, your wife. You have to tell women that are around you that are supposed to be in your protection or will listen to you. You have to be able to tell them to stand down and try to de-escalate the situation. I don't think as a society, we do a good job of telling men, young men, how to do stuff like that. They just, hey, this gives me a chance to knock somebody out, and they do it, but they end up getting 2-8. So, people figure it out the hard way, I guess.
Hey, let me share one more video. This is another confrontation. This one didn't result in anybody getting punched or hit, but it kind of ties to the conversation. This is Marshawn Lynch in his football camp. I don't know if you remember this story, but I'll set it up before I play it. This is a mother right here who was pissed off at the way Marshawn was talking to her son. Who was
oh
playing
my
at the football
God.
camp.
let them know because they're all in here.
Is there a man here with you?
No.
Okay, so truth of the matter is, oh shit. Oh shit.
Okay, now I'm not gonna play the whole thing because I just wanted y'all to see that little part of it, right? This lady is following him as he was walking up the bleachers trying to walk away, and his response was, he saw that she was upset. She was cutting him off, not letting him finish what he was trying to say. And he finally said, "Is there a man here?" And I know exactly why he said that. I'm hoping most of the men out here know why that happened too. But here's the thing: he asked that question because he knows either we gonna look. He's thinking a man is gonna be more level-headed, which they should be, or he's thinking I'm about to super sock somebody, and I need for her to be her man because I don't want to do it to her. You know, when men go back and forth, we're not going to be doing that for too long. Either it's going to get resolved quick or there's going to be some frontage removing. That's pretty much what it is. Hopefully you resolve it with your words.
Yeah, that's the expectation, but we know how expectations go.
Yeah,
So,
that's true.
Yeah, so yeah, men, like the other woman crash out, just like this woman crashed out. Nobody came to save her, and she's probably called off for work when that's when that body slam happened.
It's fascinating to me that women don't realize how powerful femininity is, because if you're a woman who's acting feminine, you can pretty much inspire a guy to do whatever you want to. If you just sitting there like,
i.e. crash out.
Well, this gentleman is bothering me and I'm not comfortable right now. Somebody gonna step up like, hey man, leave the lady alone, man. Like, I don't understand why they don't know this. Women inspire or manipulate with the power that they have, and I don't know why y'all don't use that as opposed to trying to mimic men behavior. I don't get it.
So the ones that do, they end up in Congress.
That's another story, but I ain't gonna argue that either.
Yeah,
and that's on both sides, by the way. There's a lot of masculine women in Congress.
This is true. All right, next topic.
The U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops this week condemned some of the executive orders signed by President Trump, specifically those allowing immigration and customs enforcement to enter churches and to enter schools. Do you personally support the idea of conducting a raid or enforcement action in a church service, at a school?
Well, let me address this. Of course, if you have a person who is convicted of a violent crime, whether they're an illegal immigrant or a non-illegal immigrant, you have to go and get that person to protect the public safety. That's not unique to immigration. But let me just address this particular issue, Margaret, because as a practicing Catholic, I was actually heartbroken by that statement. And I think that the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops needs to actually look in the mirror a little bit and recognize that when they receive over $100 million to help resettle illegal immigrants, are they worried about humanitarian concerns, or are they actually worried about their bottom line? We are going to enforce immigration law. We're going to protect the American people.
Yeah.
Donald Trump promised to do that. And I believe the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops, if they're worried about the humanitarian costs of immigration enforcement, let them talk about the children who have been sex trafficked because of the wide open border of Joe Biden.
You personally
let them talk about
them going
people
into
like
schools
Laken
and
Riley
churches.
who were brutally murdered. I support us doing law enforcement against violent criminals, whether they're illegal immigrants or anybody else, in a way that keeps us safe. Let me ask this question, Margaret. Let's separate the immigration issue. If you had a violent murderer in a school, of course I want law enforcement to go and get that person out.
Of course.
So what's the point of the question?
You changed the regulation this week. That's the point of the question.
Exactly.
Giving the authority to go into churches and go into schools.
We empowered law enforcement to enforce the law everywhere to protect Americans.
All right, I think we got enough of that, and let's give a victory for JD on that one. JD did a masterful job of having that conversation, the difficult conversation, the conversation that most liberals don't want to have. They want to ignore. They just want to act like, or people that's not, maybe they're not paying attention. All they're seeing or all they've been hearing is that they're going to go inside churches, they're going to go inside schools to get these, get illegals out of there. And so my question is, if you want, so you're wanting illegals to be that you want in those places to be a safe haven, a place for your kids, a place where you go worship. You want that to be a safe haven for the people that have committed violent acts against Americans and other people in this country. You want those two places to be a safe haven. Like, it just blows my mind how some people on the left, the extremist left, they don't get it. They don't understand it. They're acting like this is a, like you're talking about kids, but at the end of the day, if you're an illegal immigrant, you have to go. And then don't you want your kid to go? Like, men get chastised for not taking care of their kids, but you're telling me that it's okay for them, for families that, that are immigrants, they can leave their kid here, but they can go. That makes no sense to me.
It's weird to me that this is the hill they want to stand on, not the churches and schools. TR, when Dylan Roof went in and executed all those black people, did that not happen at a church?
Yeah. Yep.
Columbine, multiple other shootings that occurred in schools. So
That's
you're
a good point. Yeah.
so you're essentially saying that the police need to tone it down a little bit when it comes to school and churches. And
Yeah.
mind you, actually, before I even go there, let me just say this. Democrats, JD Vance is a problem that you guys haven't solved yet.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's everything that Donald Trump has, but he's more likable. He's just as smart as and well studied. Trump is kind of
Yeah.
smart too.
And he's
But
married to a real Indian.
JD Vance is relatable. I heard him give a speech where he completely used the wording of Furious Styles from Boys in the Hood, the dad on Boys in the
Oh,
Hood,
yeah.
Furious Styles. His speech about gentrification, I heard JD Vance take that and turn it into an entire speech that got his crowd rocked up and motivated.
Yeah.
So Democrats don't have any answer to him or what the Republicans are going to do in the future. I just
Yep.
wanted to start off with that. So hopefully y'all strategizing and planning for that to potentially get people like me to vote happily about your party again. But I digress. We're talking about immigration right now, right? So
Mhm.
they're only going after the violent offenders right now at this time. And
Yeah.
now let's
There's
talk
quite a
about what
few.
that's yeah, let's talk about what that's doing domestically. We talked about this on a previous show where there were gang members in Chicago saying, "Look, either y'all fix this or we gonna fix this," because they walking around here with assault rifles. We know about the stuff they tried to cover up in Colorado.
Mhm.
I've talked multiple times about me living in Arizona, who actually I am friends with people that work for the Border Patrol, and they tell me these stories that never make it public because they're doing their job but they don't have adequate resources. Like, look, and I'm going to use this example again. I've used it before. We're pro immigration if it's legal. We understand that immigrants have a lot to contribute to this company, but it can't. And there's also rules for asylum seekers. There are outs for asylum seekers, but where it becomes a problem is the folks that try to supersede and skip over all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Because in essence, you're now asking the United States, and I use the example of us. We work, we pay our bills, we make sure everything in our house is fine first. Then, if there's extra resources left over, we can take care of everybody else. But no, the house has to be taken care of first, and that's why the Republicans won.
Yeah.
That's why they won.
Yep. Yep. And we got another part that's gonna have we're gonna have another discussion on this ICE stuff though. But look, this is not the hill that, like you said earlier, people need or the Democrats are choosing to die on. It's like, it's so weird though, because you have the churches that are involved, like in New York and Chicago, that are happily taking money, for state or taxpayer money, to house these illegal immigrants. You have schools that are happily taking these kids because the more kids you have in the school, the better your funding numbers are going to look. And even though they can't, hey, maybe we don't have enough translators that can talk to these kids. Doesn't matter. We'll figure it out on the fly. Why is that okay for your kid? Why does your kid have to get less resources at their school or your schools, or the schools have to be shut down to house these families or these kids? This makes no sense. Like, people forgot about what Chicago was doing, where they shut schools down and then they reopen them to allow the illegals to take a refuge there. And then I want to say this kind of happened in Boston as well too, where they were shutting schools down, or they were pushing people out of the taxpayers out of the school, or even out of the community centers. This makes zero sense. And I understand that people want to land of the free, and we're a nation of immigrants, blah blah blah. Look, I get it. the Biden administration has destroyed this country when it came to immigration. That conversation of like trying to let more illegals in the country, that's over with. Like, if you want to keep dying on that hill, then you're definitely going to be looking like an idiot to other people, because people are going to be like, well, aren't you paying attention to some of the people that have did terrible, despicable acts to kids, or situations where they've deleted adults, like the Lincoln Riley bill is the whole reason why that's kind of conversation where that brought the whole immigration thing to light. And so when people are like fighting for this, when you have celebrities coming out here crying and acting like that this is no big deal, it is a big deal. And for a lot of you men out there, you're going to be the one that pays the price for the most part, because the women, the women are being assaulted, but for the men, what do you think they're going to do to the men? They're probably going to put a two between your eyes. Like, they're not playing. Men do not play. Men do not have this conversation like, well, these men are here, so we gotta make sure we mind our P's and Q's. No. There's going to be a war that will happen. You cannot have military aged men in this country that are really not doing anything. And I'm not saying you need to give them a job, but you don't need to be giving them American jobs. No, they got to go through the process. They got to, do not pass go, do not collect 200, and then they got to go back to their countries and do it the right way, like all other American or people that have immigrated to this country the legal way.
Yes. Quick trivia for the crowd. TR, I'm sure you know this, but the article I just posted in there is the answer. Which U.S. president has the all-time record of most immigrants deported?
Oh, man. People always forget about this.
That would be President Barack Obama.
Yeah, deporter in chief. I think he had like 3 million. Like, I don't know how Trump's going to have trouble trying to get to 3 million.
So my question is, why are you outraged now? Because he was deported on the same logic that the Trump administration is right now. Let's get the violent criminals out of here.
Yep. Yeah.
And I'll let me extend an olive branch with this immigration thing again, because I am 100% convinced that neither party knows how to solve this problem. I think what Trump is doing is probably fair to a degree, but it's not going to be financially feasible over a long period of time.
It's going to be tough to do in one administration, and it's going to take a lot of money, but we obviously have the money because of Ukraine stuff.
Yeah. And then the second article that I shared with you is just a reminder that cities like New York were kicking U.S. born students out of classrooms and schools to make room for shelters for illegal immigrants.
Yeah.
So again, if I am bringing in money, I have to take care of my house first.
Yeah.
You basically just kicked everybody out of your house and invited some strangers to come live with you. And this doesn't make sense. We got to get back to logic and common sense here. And at one point, that was the Dems. I don't know what y'all doing now, but y'all losing people, man. Y'all got to figure this out.
Yeah. This is the conversation that I know a lot of people are not having, where we have local officials and we have local police, we have our city leaders, I guess, and then you have like teachers, and you have, again, the church. We have people that are collaborating, and they are doing everything they can to, be the face and like tell illegals, hey, these are your rights. This is what you can do. They're doing this for people that are not taxpayers. They're doing this to people that don't speak English. They're doing to people that are not really contributing to society, because a lot of them don't have jobs. So they're doing all this stuff, but they will never do any of this stuff for Americans. Like, and especially for men. Men, I don't know why you guys aren't really outraged about this, honestly, though, because they're not going to change they're not advocating for marriage law changes. They're advocating for a family court law change, or I'm sorry, divorce laws. There we go. And then they're not advocating for, custody or, the child courts. They're not doing any of that stuff. If anything, they're just kind of leaving it as it is and hoping that it just changes in like 10 or 20 years or something. Like, they'll do all these things for people that do not do anything for the country, but for American men, you are being cast out. Most homeless people out there are men. Like, that's the conversation that people are not choosing to have. You'll put all this effort, all these resources into these segment of people that do not contribute, but they need taxpayer funds in order to live, where they're being given like these huge stipends, these living stipends to live in this country. But for people that are struggling, the middle class and the poor class, these people they're having trouble. Where's their help? And I don't even like those types of programs out there, because again, at the end of the day, you kind of have to you got to make it. You got to make things work. And you can't be lazy in this country. But when it comes to these legals and their families and everything, it's, hey, we got to take care of them. At the end of the day, these city leaders, they're getting compensated. That's the ugly truth. They're getting compensated, and then they're pushing out your kids. Like, that's what people don't realize or don't want to have that conversation. And then also, they're putting your family at risk. So I'm surprised we haven't had as many incidents with, or I mean, maybe we have. They just haven't been broadcasting it. But I'm sure there's been a lot of incidents where there's between illegals and U.S. citizens. So, yeah, men, you have to step up. You have to be a little more vocal about this. Who cares if it makes you unpopular? You start losing a few friends, and none of those people are going to open up their homes. No celebrity. I have yet to see any celebrity open up their home to the illegal immigrants out there. I have yet to see any celebrity just drop money on a lot of these illegals to try to take care of them. Maybe they've been involved. Maybe they've kicked a couple thousand here and there, but they're not doing anything for American kids, American families, American citizens at all. Just BS.
I would like to call out on this particular issue, the Republicans outsmarted the Democrats. So, first of all, I find it fascinating that the people that have the most to say about this issue are people that don't even live in border states or towns. That's
God
number one.
damn, yes.
That's number one. Number two, the Republicans, they outsmarted y'all Democrats, and I'm gonna tell you how they did it. While these border states and towns were dealing with all of these problems, you have all of these liberal Democrats in cities like San Diego, New York. We're sanctuary towns. Come to us. So you know what the governor of Florida and Texas did? They said, okay, you want this smoke? You're going to get this smoke.
All
We're
of
going to
it.
get all these people sneaking into our states. And guess what? They're coming to you now. So now
Yep.
you're overwhelmed and you can't handle the problem that you were just looking down on Florida and Texas for not being able to handle. But let me do one more thing real quick, because on the Black Phoenix podcast, we like to show and substantiate what we talk about. I'm going to screen share again. I know I've been screen sharing a lot tonight, y'all. Bear
Keep it
with me.
moving. Yep.
The U.S. Customs and Borders Protection statistics. Let's walk through some of these categories, shall we? Enforcement actions. Do you notice what the peak years of enforcement actions were? Who was in office during that time?
Yep.
Okay, let's keep it moving. Search and rescue. Yeah, we'll come back to that. I want to just hit the big ones. Let's talk about drug seizures. This is a big deal in Arizona.
Yeah, fentanyl.
On the rise, on the rise. But here's the one I really want to show you. There's two I really want to show you: the terrorist screening and the gang affiliation. MS-13. If you don't know about MS-13, I suggest you look into it. They were a problem for a while. And last but not least, one thing I want to show y'all. This is what I really wanted to show y'all. These are statistics showing the number of people that were caught crossing the northern and southern border that were on the terrorist watch list.
Northern border, you say?
And that's the other thing. When we talk about the border, we spend so much time talking about the South. We don't even talk about people from China and Turkey and Afghanistan and Iran that are coming in through the northern border. Now, where are the peak time frames for crossings here? It looks to be during a certain administration.
Yep.
So, miss me with open borders. Look, I get the humanitarian side of it, but it's not smart. It's just
not helping. It's not working. It's not helping.
These are just the ones that were caught. I know people that work for Border Patrol that say there are way more that were never caught.
Yeah. Yep. And it's Trump is going to do his best to try to get rid of them, and he'll probably never get to that number. But hopefully the next administration will be able to continue this, and just to continue talking about these woke celebrities that are out here crying. We're going to bring up Selena Gomez because she's definitely out here crying. Oh. Cue the song.
I just want to say that I'm so sorry. So many people are getting attacked. The children. They don't understand. I'm so sorry. I wish I could do something, but I can't. I don't know what to do. I'll try everything. I promise.
I have a question for Selena Gomez. I wonder if she knows the answer to this. How do you think the cartels and every other group of organizers gets these illegal immigrants across the border? Right? They extort the hell out of them and charge them exorbitant amounts of money. What do you think they do to the women and young girls who can't afford to pay these exorbitant fees to cross the border?
Yeah.
What other thing do they have that they could probably barter to use as payment?
Yep.
Yeah, think about that one for a minute. And notice how I said women and young girls.
Yep.
So their lives are in danger just trying to come here legally.
Tom
And
Holland,
I
the real
really want y'all to think about that. So pick your battles. Look, I'm not in the White House, but here's how I would fix immigration, right? Illegal immigration, because obviously most of these people are coming here. I'm just talking about the ones that are trying to go somewhere that's safe, right?
Mm-hmm.
They come in here legally, but they're coming here with not bad intentions. I'm talking about those, right? We know the majority of where they're coming from are Central American countries that are destabilized and have struggling economies. I personally believe that you need to go to those countries and say, look, fix your problems, or we will fix them for you, and we will charge you to fix them for you, and you will
Right.
pay. That's my suggestion. But that might be considered a little bit too aggressive, and that's probably not why I'm in the White House.
Yeah. Gonna talk about that real quick, but there was a state that was offering a reward for information. I think it was just a bill, but it was introduced, and they were talking about like giving a cash reward for people that if it leads to an arrest. And I think partly that needs to happen of some sort, like because you need citizens to kind of tell people like whenever somebody commits a crime, they have Crime Stoppers. If you see this person committing a crime, call this anonymous number. Like I don't understand where all of a sudden we are not calling out the hypocrisy in all of this, where people have committed the crime that's a felony in this country, and they're just being, it's not deemed a crime. Like crime has gone up, and whenever liberals try to have this conversation, well, those aren't really crime. No, it is a crime. So you're not going to be able to tell us that, hey, we can look past this and it's not a big deal. Like here, let me tell you this: if you want people to get over it or look the other way, and then you need to start decriminalizing a lot of things, still. Okay, like men, this is your thing. Okay, what happens if you don't pay your child support? There's a whole slew of things, but what's the one thing that you do not want to happen to you? You're going to jail. You don't pay your child support, you're going to jail. Like, don't worry about like getting hit on your credit or a lien or whatever. You're going to jail. So you don't pay child support, and that's considered, I want to say it's a misdemeanor or something, or depending on the offense. But whatever the case is, like you're going to jail. Like you don't complete like whatever classes, like you get a DUI and you don't complete those classes or whatever it is, you're going to jail. You're attacking a misdemeanor and on to you. So how come we don't have those conversations where all these other offenses that people deem like, hey, these aren't really crimes, but you will be held criminally. But when it comes to like letting illegals into the country, and regardless of if they've never committed a crime, I don't care, or committed an additional crime to the crime of coming into the country, you're going to jail. You don't pay your taxes, you're going to jail. That's
Real quick, with the child support, real quick, let me just add something. You know what else people who are behind on their child support can't do? They can't leave the damn country.
yeah, exactly. Yes. Yeah. No, I went down a rabbit hole to see like, can a non-US citizen, Can they request child support? Yes, they can, because in this great country of ours, we make sure the child support system works efficiently, and it has all the ability to go after people, whether they this is a crazy thing. You don't have to be a U.S. citizen, and the United States will work with you to get child support out of someone, whether they're a U.S. citizen or not a U.S. citizen in the United States, of course. But if you're an illegal immigrant and you and somebody's trying to get child support out of you, it's actually a little bit tricky, because it's like, well, we can't enforce immigration laws, and it's just difficult trying to like get them to show up in court. It's a whole slew of reasons why they can't go after it. But yo ass, like men, again, most men have to pay child support, or they're the ones generally paying the child support. The illegals have more rights than you when it comes to child support, or when it comes to like just laws in this country that you don't get the benefit of the doubt of. Like, you get into a fight, you're probably gonna go to jail, like in most cases. But if you're an illegal, not a big deal. We got the church, we got the schools. They're protecting people. We got city leaders organizing. Like, this is RICO on like a national level, where they're telling people where they can go. They will not do that for you. They're snitching on you. They had like oh boy, Tampon Timmy in the great state of Minnesota. He set up a hotline to snitch on people if they're not wearing their masks back during the the COVID days. Like, he set up a snitch line for that stuff. This blows my mind that people are not equally upset about this stuff, or even upset about this like to a higher level, because you cannot pick and choose what laws you want to follow, especially for a segment of people that came into this country. They knew what was going to happen if they get caught, and they still chose to stay here. You knew Trump, I mean, even when Trump got elected. I don't know why you didn't leave the country then. You knew Trump said he was going to deport your asses, and you still stayed in this country. But you know what? People got to find out the hard way. People got to figure out, like, hey, I'll see what happens. Well, now you catching a flight on a big cargo airplane back to your damn whole country.
Funny you mentioned Tim Walz, because he just came out today and basically admitted that the entire Democratic Party is exhausted and fatigued trying to figure out why they lost. I don't know why they're exhausting so much effort trying to figure that out when it's obvious, but okay.
They're idiots.
Back to the subject at hand. I don't want to come off like a total jerk with this subject. I realize there are a lot of countries where people need help and are struggling. I realize there are a lot of kids who don't deserve this and didn't ask to be born into this. They're in countries that are run by gangs and dictators and socialists who don't really want to see their people prosper to the extent that they do. I get that. But maybe someone can answer this question for me. Where's the line between I care about this and I got to make sure everything is good on my side first? Like, where is that line? Because it seems like no one can find it correctly. You can't go too far in either direction, but I have a humanitarian responsibility to my fellow man. I get that, but it doesn't come in the form of open borders. I gave a solution. I didn't sit here and complain without giving a solution like most of y'all tend to do. I just want to complain about stuff.
Yeah. And then people still just got to get more involved. You got to start picking up the ICE number. Maybe I'll drop it in the episode, in the description. But you have to do your part as an American, because when you allow people into this country to kind of do whatever they want and take up resources, and they have no financial they don't pay any taxes, but they're getting tax-paying services, you have an obligation as a U.S. citizen to report that nonsense. Like, I don't know why people want to say, like, hey, this is not a big deal, but this is our big deal. These people, and crazy thing is, these people are actually being exploited by a lot of these Democrat-led cities. They're being exploited because they're getting these kickbacks from all these city resources, from all the liberal elitists that want to keep these certain types of people in this country because they need to use them for either voting situations, like expand the voting in certain states, which Biden tried to do. He tried to move illegals into red states so they can tip the scales when it comes voting time. There was even conversations for Biden trying to give a lot to Americanize a lot of these illegals so they can vote in the upcoming election, which I guess that's how they probably thought they were going to get the 20 million short votes that didn't show up for Kamala. But they did show up for Biden. So at the end of the day, like, you got to do what's in the best interest of your family and also in the best interest of your country. And because that should mean something, you should be proud that our country is upholding the laws when it comes to like people coming into this country. Because I tell you this, you can't go over to China and do this. You can't go over to Russia and do anything like this. You can't go over. You can't even do this in Australia. Like in Canada, show is not going to let y'all just show up there. So
yep, we seem to be the friendliest country in that regard, but that's going to be changing fairly soon.
Oh yeah, that's definitely changing.
And my heart goes out to everybody in those Central American and South American countries that are struggling. Mexico's economy is actually better than people give it credit for. They do have trouble with gangs in certain areas, but my heart goes out to y'all seriously. But it's funny, we keep saying we don't want the U.S. to police the world and be involved in the world, but in this particular instance, for some reason, we do.
Yeah,
it's really weird.
Yeah, weird. All right, next topic.
If your wife works, I just want to let you know, as a man, you have failed. Now, it's one thing to both be working towards a life where you can allow her to not work and you're just on your way there. But it's a whole nother thing to want your wife to work, which a ton of you on this platform do, and I don't understand it. Shame on all of you guys who make your wife go back to work after having a child. You make her go on maternity leave, enjoy all of the positive things of being a stay-at-home mother, and then make her go back to work. Why? Just so you can afford a few more toys? Oh, so you can afford your truck? So you can afford another boat? That's why? That's why you have her work? Come on. You're going to have other people raise your children, make memories with your children rather than you or their mother because you want shiny toys? And don't even come at me with, in this economy, both people have to work. No, that's not true. Both people have to work if you need to pay for daycare. But if you don't need to pay for daycare, one income can do it. And if the father's income, single income, doesn't cover it, you're living outside your means. You're buying things you can't afford. You're doing things other than advancing your career and finding a way to make more money. This, like everything else in life, is a skill issue. If you're a man and you think you need your woman to work or that you need her
in the damn driveway doing this,
I will not allow anyone on social media to gaslight me or anyone else into believing that you need a dual income household. It is not true. It never will.
Oh my God.
I'm telling you, shut your bitch ass up.
Look,
I think we might end up disagreeing on this one, but go ahead.
No. I mean, I'm okay with him saying what he's saying. Like, to some degree, most men don't want their wives working, especially after a pregnancy. They want their wives to stay home or wherever the case is. What he doesn't acknowledge, some of these women don't have husbands. Like, what are you supposed to do about that? Like, these women do not have husbands. Some of them don't want husbands. Some want to do it by themselves. Some of them don't know who they baby daddy is. At the end of the day, this motherfucker is not going to be. Damn, I gotta edit that out. This dude, this Super Chad, he ain't about to be telling people. First of all, I want to see what your bitch look like. Let's talk about that first. I want to see what she look like, and if she's ever been working, then you gotta shut the hell up on this one, because all he's doing is getting women riled up and thinking that, hey, that is a good point. Y'all don't want to be wives. How you gonna get a husband when y'all don't want to be wives? Let's talk about that first. Like, it's one thing if they do want to be wives and you got men just checking out or want to be, don't want to be marrying these women, but y'all don't want to be wives. Y'all want to have 4 or 5 kids and y'all don't want to get a husband. You want to try to find some gump, some simp, try to like be the husband for all the kids, and you want to treat him like he's a nobody. Like, no. Like, just like that one video we dropped where you ignore me when I was in high school or college and now you want me back. No, that's why a lot of these women have kids and they're not with their kid's father. They don't have a good relationship with their kid's father. They're messing up these kids' lives, not having their father in their kid's life or alienating the other parent, the father in this situation. He's assuming that these men want their wives to be working. Yes, I want my wife to be working so she could be possibly having a work husband or having a divorce. Most divorces are when it comes to cheating, most divorces are because of a work spouse. So most men don't want their wives to be working. I don't know what the reason is, but for whatever he's saying, for how he's trying to shame men into thinking that they can't afford to have their wife, or they don't want they want their wife to go back to work so they can have a new truck or a boat or whatever the hell it is. What is your wife going to do so you can get a new boat? Like, does he know how expensive boats are? Does he know how expensive trucks are? And the way that he worded this, I think he's talking to white men, but fuck him. Damn, I got to edit that out. This is a family show. Go ahead, MC.
Let me state my position clear from the point, and then I'll build from that. If you are a wife and a mother, you should have the option to stay home and take care of your kids. And I believe you should get a tax credit for that.
Yeah, I agree with that too.
But again, that's wife and mother. I'm sorry, single moms, but there has to be some benefit to getting married. And I think that because they have their husband's income to supplement the losses that they would take from her not going to work. That's point number one. Number two, dual income households are a scam, and I'll tell you why. Most families, the mom and the dad are working full time, and they have kids. Okay, so the early part of their life, they're at daycare, so they're being influenced by somebody at daycare.
Facts.
Then they got to go to school. They're being influenced by everybody at school and teachers, who, by the way, we already proved a long time ago that most teachers lean very far to the left. So if you're a right-leaning person, that's bad news for you. Now, y'all working full time, your kids going to school full time, and now let's be honest, when you get home from work, you're tired. She's tired, you're tired, your kids got homework, they're going to go outside and play. All of this is going on, and I'm telling you, during the week, most parents who work full time are not spending a lot of time with their kids. So they're not being influenced by you. They're being influenced by TV, music, friends, teachers, daycare staff, etc. Now, on the weekends, you might carve out some time to hang out with them, but what about your wind down time? What about your time to date your husband or wife? Because a lot of couples fall apart because they stop dating and courting each other. So now you got to make time for that. And then by the time your kids become teenagers, they don't really want to rock with you like that anymore. Now they want to go to the mall with their friends and the movies, or they might just want to stay home and sit on their laptops and devices all day because that's this Gen Z, Gen Alpha type stuff. And they're socially awkward. So I say all that to say, y'all are working yourselves to the bone to provide for these kids that you are not even influencing. More than likely, your kids' influences are more external than they are internal. You're not talking to them about sex, at least not in a meaningful way. You're not talking to them on how to deal with situations that they're dealing with on a daily basis.
Right.
And most of y'all not even asking y'all kids how they day went. So let's just be honest about this here. You may as well put your wife in a position where if she wants to, I'm not saying they all should, I'm saying if she wants to, she can stay home and nurture and raise the kids as she should. Because truth be told, if your kid is homeschooled and it's properly done and executed, there's been studies that show that they outperform these people that are actually going to a traditional school. Something to think about. Something that, like, this country is run by businesses that are anti-family. They just wanted women in the workplace to have a larger tax base.
Yep.
And that's the part that we don't talk about.
Yep. And not to mention, like, just the whole reason women are working, because y'all let a bunch of Karens trick you into thinking like, hey, we need to be working too. And you probably have some help from the government because we know what happened in the 60s to the black families. So you let a bunch of people that don't care about your families, your legacy, trick you into, going to the workforce and fighting to be in the workforce. Now you got to compete against men. Now you really don't have, for the single women out there who don't have kids, who are trying to have a family, now you meet men less. So you all that stuff gets blamed on the men somehow. Women fought for this, we still get blamed. You got these Derek Jackson type mofos, and I don't have a white version of this for Derek Jackson, but essentially Derek Jackson was a guy that was just lying to women, just trying to get views, just trying to get clicks, doing whatever he can to say like, hey, women, I almost feel like he's probably still in Derek Jackson's playbook on this, because here, let me show the audience here, because this is the type of BS I'm talking about. This chick says, my boy, we make more than our husbands. And this guy said, this is a skill issue on his end. Shut your bitch ass up, man. Like, man,
Shut your bitch ass up.
this is insane. And again, I better like be clear on this too. Like, if I'm making the money and my wife just had a kid, I don't want her going back to work. I'm gonna do everything I can to make sure she doesn't have to go to work. And most men, when you do get a wife and when you're in your 20s and 30s, you got to make enough money for yourself also, but you also got to make sure you got to make enough money that in case you do have another person and she, delivers your child or whatever the case is. Like, you got to make sure you have enough money for at least 2 people in your household, maybe even 3 people, even 4 people. So you got to figure that out. You got to make sure people you're looking at, like, hey, should we have 1 kid, 2 kids, whatever it is? I don't care. Like, do all the budget, do all the math, whatever it is. But you're not going to shame men and try to talk down to men and act like men like are purposely wanting their wives to go back to work. I get it. Some people just ain't got it. And some people, like, at the end of what people should be doing, what men should be doing, like, if you do create a business, you should probably want your wife in that business, helping out. This is the family business. We used to have a lot of that stuff. Like, you would have kids, like, or farmers, like, we have a bunch of kids, raise the, run the farm or run the family business. Like, it was like a little bit more, family, I guess family. I mean, it was definitely family owned, but also there's a little more, it meant something to be running the family business. Now it doesn't mean anything because you got these kids that don't want to run the family business. I don't want to do that. We say it all the time in the media when it comes to TV shows. Like, I want to go to the big city, and what do? They always come back home because that's where they feel comfortable at. That's where they feel like they met someone that they love, someone who's actually genuinely real versus what they see out there is in the city. So you can say whatever you want. Like, again, I don't want my chick to work. I want my chick working for me. I want my chick working for the family business. And I've kind of had that conversation when I've talked to women about, like, hey, at some point, if things go as far as they think they will, and I'm making the money to take care of you, and if we have a kid, then I don't want you going back to work. And they will fight you for that. They will fight you like, well, I don't want all my money to go into one place, or I don't want you to have I don't want all the money just going or just to be held by the husband. Like, you're his wife. What do you think is going to happen? Like, this is that stuff that the feminists talk. They try to tell you, like, always have your own secret bank account or something. They're teaching you how to destroy your marriage. And most men, I think most men do not want their wives going back to work. But these women, they want to go back to work because they got to be out here in these streets. They got to be out here with their work husband. They got to be out here wearing that type of dress so they can go, the Joy Taylors of the world, so they can move up in the world, so they can have their own money or make more money, so they don't have to be beholden to their husbands. Like, that's
and they typically have more consumer debt than men too, at least in the Black community. That's how it is.
Yeah, definitely the education, the most educated and the most in debt.
So I'll never forget this, man. And one thing I should have hit on earlier is people with multiple kids. Sometimes they'll try to take
Hold
this
on,
shortcut.
MC. I gotta call this shit out.
Which
Look,
one?
this is what this guy is doing. How do I send this to my husband? I'll do it for you. This is the guy talking to your wife. Like, maybe we should have another conversation. Like, when your chick is on social media, because this is stuff that they might be consuming. And I know a bunch of women are looking at this thinking, like, yeah, this is a real thing. Honey, come look at this. Man, if your wife sends
That's
this to
not a
you,
good
divorce
look.
her. Divorce her.
This ain't a good look.
Yeah, if your
Uh,
wife sends this to you, divorce her.
I was saying earlier. So I remember a long time ago, I read this book from Kurt Warner. If you know football, you know who Kurt Warner is. First things first. It's a really good book. I read it a while ago. One of the things he mentioned in that book, and I'll never forget this, because I think he has like 7 kids or something like that. And one of the things that he called out was it's very important that you spend one-on-one time with your kids, regardless of how many you have. And a lot of these parents that are working these full-time jobs every day, they'll like try to take a shortcut and do just like one big family trip. But
Sure. Yeah.
every kid has their own experience and personality, like, and you kind of got to get with them in a one-on-one setting to kind of figure out how they work and what's effective with them and what's not. And a
Yeah.
lot of parents skip steps like that. I want to go back to 2 articles that I just posted. They're a little bit outdated, but there's newer data to support this as well. The first one is from the Pew Research Center, And it talks about how more and more women are realizing, oh snap, I made a mistake. I should have been a stay-at-home mom.
Oh
Like they're
hell,
realizing this. You
let
can
me bring
see
that up.
the number. If you look at the graph at the very top, the number of women that want to be stay-home moms, it's starting to curve back up a little bit. But what's interesting is if you take Gen Z away from this graph,
You
it
talking like this
curves up
graph?
even yeah, it curves up even faster because the Gen Zers are still in that phase where they don't want to have kids or be mothers. I think I saw something that said 56% of Gen Z women don't want to have kids or be moms. So if you take them, if you remove them from the equation, this graph is goes up even faster. So I say all that to say,
Mm-hmm.
and I have a corporate job, and I'm familiar with a lot of women who left because their husband gave them the option to be a stay-at-home mom, and they took the option. One of
Facts.
my very close work peers, a very sharp underwriter, she left for that very reason. She had her first kid. Her husband told her, "Do you want to stay home?" She without even thinking about it, she said, "Yep, I want to stay home and be a mom." So that's what she's doing now. You're seeing more and more of this. Now, there's also another article I share right after that. This is millennials, which is what we are. We're at the top part of it, but we're millennials. More and more millennial women, almost to the point where they align with Gen X, regret not staying home and being moms. So there's
Mm-hmm.
a lot of women out here who wish they could be stay-at-home moms, but they can't. So I say all that to say these are the women that should be speaking up more and more because the ones
Yes.
with the loudest voices aren't saying this type of stuff.
You know, that's a fantastic point. Women, do your jobs and shame this dude into oblivion. Act like this guy is Andrew Tate and shame this dude because he's telling you lies. He's telling you he's creating a situation where you have to start doubting your man if you have to work. There are some cases it's just going to happen. But if you guys are okay with that and you're moving towards like the same goal, then there's going to be a point where he doesn't have to work or I'm sorry, where she won't have to work. I feel like it. And sometimes, I mean, when men retire, they go back to work because they got to be doing something. So most of the time, men are going to be working. But I want the person that I'm going to be with. I want her to have a soft life as well too. I want her to be able to like raise our kid. I want her to be able to like work with me as I build whatever company I'm trying to build up. And this is not going to be applicable to like a lot of corporate people or people that work in like like some specialized industry or doctors or lawyers. You're probably not gonna be able to work with your wife or your spouse or whatever. But for a lot of men that are in the middle class, you are able to work with your wife. Just figure out like what's the business move, what you can do together. I mean, sometimes, she might be the accountant, she might be the social media person. Like, there's a ton of things that men are able to do. My problem with this guy is that he's just shaming men, making it sound like men are just not able to like don't want to step up. Like, there's just some type of immature. Like, so what if the guy wants to have a boat or whatever the case is? If he's worked hard to like go get that boat or for you guys to enjoy that boat, then you're going to reap the rewards all the time anyways. Like, what does it matter? Or if she has to work part-time and maybe she wants to work part-time, like whatever the case is, you ain't about to tell me this dude, we don't know what his wife looks like, what his situation looks like, telling women, talking to other men's women, telling them what they should be doing in their fucking relationship. Like, that's just a bridge too far for me. And you men, you should be saying more stuff like this. But these are the types of simp gump men that are out here. These beta men are out here trying to get in these women's ears. That's the dude that be trying to get in your wife's ear at work, telling her like, yeah, you don't need him. He's probably a jerk. Let's go to lunch. I'll buy you lunch. Like, those are the type of men that you should be aware of.
That's the dude that she's thinking about when you smashing her too. If you want to keep it 100.
Facts. Like, oh, he takes care of me. He thinks about me, man. All right, we've cooked
By the
enough
way,
on this.
you mentioned Andrew Tate. I just got it real quick. There's been some rumors circulating. The Guardian just ran an opinion article. He might be running for prime minister in the UK.
Oh, yeah. But I don't think it's going to happen. The problem with Andrew Tate is everybody knows how to go after Andrew Tate. And it's like, fair or foul, it is what it is. But women, you made a fantastic point. Women have to start calling this stuff out. Like, no, do not let these types of men try to, he's really just gaslighting you girls, thinking that you have an opportunity here and you really don't. Like most women are end up like without a husband, or a lot of them just are single moms. So what are you going to do then? What's his advice to the single moms? He doesn't have any because he doesn't care. That's the point. So, all right. Well, I've done enough on that one. You can tell I was definitely, I should have turned on I should have had the air raid going. Anyways, final words, MC?
This was a good one, man. I was hoping we was going to get to the DEI stuff, but I think we're going to have to circle back to that next week because I know we both have some hot takes on DEI.
Yeah, well, that one guy's a DEI for social media for the simps out there. So it is what it is. All right. Adios, everyone.
Peace.